Good morning, dear friends. So, I just want to start with one of the quotations from our Honorable Prime Minister, who said that the electric vehicles are silent, and their silence is a indicator of a silent revolution which is happening in the automobile sector. So, I think we are on a cusp of a revolution. We are moving away from almost 100 years of dominance of ICE vehicles. And of course, nobody is saying that ICE vehicles are going anywhere. They will also continue to exist, but there will be a robust existence of other technologies, of other alternative fuels also. And of course, EVs are leading that pack. Then we have hydrogen and we have other alternative biofuels. Number of other technologies are there. And the push which is being given by the Government of India is towards the vision of a net-free India, carbon zero, net zero vision, and to reduce our carbon intensity, and all those principles which were enunciated in COP26. So that is the focus where we are moving. Now, batteries is of course very important because in most of the vehicle categories, batteries are, I think, up to 40 to 50% of the cost of the vehicle, depending upon the category and size. And unfortunately, till today, we do not have a cell manufacturing facility in India. All the cells are being imported, and that is why the government has started the PLI ACC scheme, where it is a 18,100 crore rupee scheme, where indigenous manufacturing of cells will be started. And that scheme has already rolled out. And we believe that by the next year, 2024, the productions of cells will start. So we are targeting 50 gigawatt hour of annual capacity. But as we go forward, the demand of batteries and cells will be much more than that. According to one estimate by Niti Aayog, by 2030, we'll be having on the conservative side 106 gigawatt hour, and on the optimistic side about 230 gigawatt hour of cell requirement will be there annually, which includes EVs and grid storage and other smaller uses. So this 50 gigawatt will be a small part of the overall requirement. But then there are other people also who are either manufacturing or planning to manufacture cells, which are outside the PLI also. I think several other ministries, MNRE is also contemplating to start a program to help manufacturing of batteries and manufacturing of cells. So the push which will be given by the PLI scheme, that will be a very significant push. And apart from PLI ACC, you know that we have a PLI automobile scheme also. It is a 26,000 crore rupee scheme that has also already started, and the manufacturing and under that is already underway. It is a 5-year scheme that includes not only electric vehicles but also hybrid vehicles. It also includes hydrogen as a fuel. Those are also there, but the majority we believe would be electric vehicles, and also advanced automotive technology components. So it covers components as well as OEMs. And of course, you know about the FAME scheme, which is a 10,000 crore rupees scheme, out of which about 3,500 crores is reserved for buses. And buses, you know, they have huge batteries. A lot of cells are used there. I think the major consumption of the cells is in buses, considering their battery size. And rightly, concerns have been raised about the safety of vehicles. And in the safety, the characteristics of batteries are very important. But we need to push the agenda of safety further. What we have seen earlier in three-wheelers, now we see that the sale of electric three-wheelers is about 57% electric three-wheelers are being sold now as out of the total mix. But out of those, very few three-wheelers are taking the FAME subsidy. Most of them are e-rickshaws, which are not taking the FAME subsidy. And that is because their prices are relatively cheaper. So people want to buy this product. That does not meet the stricter safety requirements of FAME. So we think that unless the safety and particularly coming from the battery, but overall safety also, that must be taken into account because it is the lives of the people we are dealing with. We have seen a number of incidents happening due to which vehicles have caught fire. Thermal runaway has happened. Of course, not all such incidents involve EVs. This happens in ICE vehicles also. We have seen this incident in buses, in four-wheelers, in three-wheelers. But EVs is an important area of concern. Therefore, I was very happy to see that a session on EV thermal management has been organized. You are all aware that AIS regulations 156, they had been recently amended by MORTH and stricter battery standards were notified on 31st December and then on 31st March. So all the OEMs have complied with that. But as we heard just now that policy, sometimes lags behind. And where does policy come from? It comes from people like you. We have to work in unison. And that is why we think that the closer the industry and the government works, the better it is for both the stakeholders. Because we understand what needs to be changed, what inputs are required, and inputs do not come from one category of industries, but many categories from consumers, from many associations. And that is why frequent changes are there. In one of the parliamentary committees I recently attended, one of the honorable MPs remarked that you have changed the notifications or guidelines many times over the past 5 years. That means you are not sure what you are doing. So we had to answer that this is because of technology, this is because of learning, and this is because of stakeholder consultations. That is why this is a dynamic area. We have to evolve. We have to come up with the latest and safest guidelines and procedures. And therefore, these consultations are very important. You would know that in order to give a push to electric vehicles, we have increased the subsidies which were given to two-wheelers from 10,000 rupees per kilowatt to 15,000 rupees per kilowatt. And if you see the number of the sales which is happening last 1 or 2 years, two-wheelers and three-wheelers, all the sales, they are increasing like anything. And it is not that we should think that the support of the government will be required for all times to come. The idea behind these schemes is to make the industry stand on its own feet, to give them the initial push, initial support so that the industry becomes globally competitive. And I'm very happy to note that number of OEMs are exporting the automobiles now to many countries, not only in two-wheelers but in buses, as we were just discussing. The aim of the PLI, if you look at the objectives, one of the objectives is to make the industry global champions so that Indian industry can compete with the best in the world. And that is why these schemes have a period of 5 years. And to make the industry globally competitive, it is not only that these financial incentives are given, but it is also important to develop the supply chain. It is also important to develop the ecosystem. And that involves a large number of tier 1, tier 2 players. But if a big unit comes, or 2 or 3 such big units come, and they source their supplies from around, then we believe that in a number of years, such ecosystem can come. Though we have started with a 50 gigawatt hour capacity, I think once the program rolls out, many other players may also like to enter, and a large number of components which are being imported now, we believe that their production can start here. In the batteries, concerns have been raised about recycling of batteries. You would have seen the battery recycling rules which have been circulated by the Ministry of Environment, 2022 rules. So there also a lot of work has happened. And we need to be conscious of the environmental damage which may be caused. And there also a lot of research and lot of trials are required. So I believe that with the push the government wants to give to the electric vehicles and to alternative fuels, along with the efforts of the industry, India will be one of the few players in the global arena where we are not only globally competitive, but we export these technologies also around the world. The ministry, along with the SIAM and other industry associations, we are in touch with a number of associations and governments of different countries of the world. And the idea is to establish a closer connection so that we learn from each other. We have very good testing facilities in India. The director of ICAT is here with us. If you happen to visit ICAT, or some of you would have visited, you see that they have some of the world's best facilities there. Their noise, vibration and harshness lab, I think it is one of the largest in Asia. And all these advanced tests are available there. Some of the global automotive makers, they also approach ICAT so that their test can be conducted there. Similarly, we have NATRAX, the National Test Tracks Agency, which is in Indore. That is Asia's largest, longest running tracks. You can drive up to 350 kilometers per hour there. There are also a number of international players are coming. And now, in the last budget, the import duties for the cars which will come for testing, earlier it used to be to 40%. Now in the budget it has been reduced to 0%. So those OEMs who want to test their cars in Indian test facilities can now get their cars here and get them tested. So that is an important achievement of our testing agencies. And now, as the manufacturing of cells will start, there will be a need for testing of such ACC batteries and ACC cells. Those testing facilities also need to be developed. There is a need to develop the standards. And that is where the industry and testing agencies can come together. Similarly, in charging of electric vehicles, we need to have standards. There is in four-wheelers, I think we are coming to a place where most four-wheeler charging is using CCS2. So there we have a coming together of standardization, but it is not so in case of two-wheelers. There also we have different kinds of protocols are there. So that is also an area where we need to work, because most of the vehicles in India are two-wheelers. And unless a push is given to two-wheelers, I mean, that is an important area if we want to improve the penetration of electric vehicles. So these are some of the areas, and I'm sure there would be other areas where we have to come together and discuss and find out the way forward. I can assure you on behalf of the Ministry of Heavy Industries and Government of India that we are here to work with you and we want to understand the concerns and then see what we can do together. I'm sure you will be making a report of the proceedings and report of the views given by various stakeholders in this conference. And we would like to see that what support do you think should come from the government, and how this encouragement can be given, and how we can work together for a greener future. So I thank you for inviting me here, and it is always a pleasure to meet all of you. And thank you very much. All right.